Alright, so this little video will help us with our problems for our homework today. So determine the next three terms in each of the following arithmetic sequences. So remember, arithmetic sequence is a sequence that's adding by the same number every single time. But sometimes they're going to get challenging and you're not going to be able to figure out like just by looking at it. Like for instance, this one. I don't know what it's adding every time. Is it subtracting? But there was a trick I showed you. So I'm going to type it out. So the common difference can be found by taking any term. If you find any term, and then you subtract the previous term. So I'll type it out. So if you do this little operation, if you take any term and you subtract the previous term, that will give you your common difference. That'll tell you what you're adding by every single time. So let's go ahead and do that. So for this problem, I'm going to say, remember, start with an equal sign. If you want this to calculate something, you need to press the equal sign. All right, now pick any of these terms. So I'm just going to start with the fourth term. I'm going to pick this one here. So I'll say the negative 56. All right, that says E4 and then subtract. So now I'll hit the subtraction symbol. So I'll hit that one and then subtract the previous term. The previous terms mean the one that's before it. So what's before the fourth term? Well, obviously the third term. So then I'll click on this one and then let's just let the calculator calculate. And the calculator tells me negative 10 is my common difference. So that is what we're adding every single time. And now we can quickly go ahead and let's make this bold right here. So negative 10 is what we're really adding to this sequence every single time. So if we take negative 26 and add negative 10, we're going to get negative 36. If we take negative 36, add negative 10, we'll get negative 46, and so on and so on. So to make this quick and easy for ourselves, let's just say equal sign in the fifth term, click on the fourth term, and let's add a, or let's just, let me do it, I'll do it mathematically, add a negative 10. Okay, so a little plus sign, and we add a negative 10. So you see that I used, for this little symbol here, I used a plus sign and then I used parentheses to separate because it might give you an error if you just, let's see if we could do it or not. If I just do plus a negative 10, this is smart enough. Oh, it's actually smart enough to figure it out. So it'll figure out that is just plus negative 10. All right, and then remember the trick I showed you? Grab the little circle, drag it across, and that will keep adding a negative 10. So in this problem, we finished those ones really quick. So remember, the calculator is not going to have any problem doing subtractions or additions or multiplications or divisions. So as you're going through these you should be able to make quick work of these ones. So I'll do one more for you. So the common difference. Remember, that's the number that we're adding every single time. But in order to figure it out, we need to do a subtraction. So let's go ahead. Start with an equal sign. Let's figure out what that is. Pick any term you want. Let's pick the second term. So I'll pick this one. And then we're going to subtract. So I'll type in subtract. And then I'll subtract the previous term. Well, the previous term to the second term is the first term. So let's click on that one, press enter. And now we know we are adding a negative 9 every single time. So negative 9 is my common difference. So let's go ahead and add negative 9 again to this list, and let's continue this list on. So let's take our fourth term, and let's add a negative 9, and press enter, and there we go. And then we can use our little trick to continue that sequence and just keep subtracting negative 9 or adding negative 9. All right, so I'll let you finish up sequence 1 and the rest of these ones. But as you see, we're going to have fractions in here, we're going to have some decimals in here, and the calculator is not going to have a problem. So just do what we learned today. Take any term, subtract the previous term. So whatever one you pick, if I pick the last one and I subtract the one in front of it, that will give you the common difference. And now you know what to add every single time. All right, so it shouldn't make any difference even if I give you decimals. All right, let's go to the next one. For the second set down here, find the next three terms of the following geometric sequence. Well, geometric sequence, we're multiplying every single time. So we need to figure out what we are multiplying. And some of us are like, oh, I'm not good at multiplication. Well, it doesn't matter. We can use the same idea. We can take any term, but this time we're going to find a common ratio. So any term, and then we're going to divide by the previous term. So we're going to use division to help us figure out the answer for the common ratio. So we're going to use division to help us figure out what we multiply by. All right, hopefully that makes sense. So let's take any term. So start with the equal sign and pick any of these terms you want. Let's pick the third term this time. All right, so we'll pick that one. And now we're going to divide. So use the slash, the / to do division, and then the previous term. Well, the previous term from the third term is the second term. So click on that one and press enter. And there we go. So what we see on this one is we are multiplying by +3 every single time. So if we take -4 times +3, let me just go ahead and bold that, make it red for you. So if we take -4 times 3, we'll get -12. If we take -12 times 3, we'll get -36. And we continue on. So let's just continue the sequence. For this one, let's take whatever's in the fourth term, so whatever's in E39, and multiply by 3. And there we go. And quick and easy, we can find the fifth and the sixth term. All right, I'll do one that's a little bit challenging. I'll leave those ones too, because again, once you follow that pattern, if you take any term divided by the previous term, it shouldn't give you any problems. You could be multiplying by a decimal. I'll just let you know that for later on. So let's look at this one, secant 12. It starts off with -2, goes to 12, and then -72. So I can see it switching from negative to positive to negative to positive, which means that we're obviously multiplying by a negative number. So the answer that we're going to get is negative, but let's go ahead and figure this out. So in order to figure out the common ratio, so in order to figure out what we're going to multiply by, let's figure out what they're divided by. Let's divide these. So take any term you want. Let's take this -72 right here. Let's take this term and divide by the previous term. Well, the one that's in front of that one is going to be the second term. So divide by 12 and press enter. And you can see my brain is not working very hard right now. Once I know my rule, once I know what I'm supposed to do, oop, I didn't want that one. Once I know the rule for this one, I can figure out my common ratios really easy because the calculator does division very simple. All right, so now we know we're multiplying by -6 every time. So let's go ahead. In the next box, let's continue this pattern. Take whatever's in your fourth term and multiply by -6, and we'll get the next answer. And you can see the pattern's continuing. Negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. And the next one's going to be a positive because the negative times the negative is a positive. And the next one's going to be negative. And again, the calculator is not even tired. It's not even having a problem. So your job today is to find the rest of these patterns. And if the numbers are challenging, you can't figure out what they're adding by every single time, then find the common difference. I would just find the common difference anyways. Is a good idea for you to practice for. So for the next one, find the common difference for 3, and then you'll know what to add every single time. Find the common difference for 4, you'll know what to add every time, and so on. When you get down to the bottom on these ones, figure out what you're multiplying by. Just do a division. So take any term you have, like any term you want, and divide it by the one in front of it. All right, so hopefully that helps you out today. Good luck.